Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are here at the 46th Annual IPMI Conference in beautiful Orlando, Florida, and we have Mr. John Keating with LKQ here with us. Thank you, John, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and talk with us this morning.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's fine.
John, you've been with LKQ for a while, huh?
Yeah, this is my 9th year, so.
Wow.
Yeah, time just flies. It just, as a matter of fact, so this may be hopefully maybe my last hurrah in precious metals. Then I started 15 years with Engelhard, and maybe I'll end in 15 years with LKQ, and then
You know, he brings up Engelhard. And yesterday we had a conversation with a gentleman that stated that 70% of the membership, the old guys, right?
Yeah, sure.
Come from the Charlie Company. You know?
Yeah.
Charlie Engelhard's company.
Yeah, that's
Came out of Engelhard. Isn't that interesting? So you began your career with Engelhard?
Yeah, I mean, very interesting. So, right, I graduated college in '83, and I had worked part-time during college in a liquor store, and that was going to be my baby job. I was as a liquor distributor salesman,
Right.
But I was already engaged to be married, so it was like I wanted to make as much money as possible before that all happened. And my brother-in-law, he was getting married to my sister at the time. He was a vault manager at Engelhard. So now I grew up in Carteret, New Jersey, Central Jersey, and the Engelhard plant was in the western part of Carteret. It was, and he was a vault manager there, and he said, "Hey, John, we're upgrading our vault positions to be college grads. So, would you like to join?" I said, "Yeah. Well, what kind of job is that?"
Right.
Because,
What do they do?
he should try to describe it. He says, "It's you got an accounting background, you got management and stuff." He says, "It's we handle all the metals through the plant, and it's actually a union job. The United Auto Workers. It was a local United Auto Workers
That's
union,
interesting.
and so I started there, and basically I think the first week is working in shipping. So I'm shipping all these precious metal products out of the plant for a while there, and I'm thinking, I was learning a lot, but I was also going, "Oh, that's my brother-in-law. This doesn't seem like an accounting job."
Right.
I don't really think I need to go to school in
I'm a
this.
numbers guy, but yet you have me doing logistics, huh?
But he says, "Oh no, you're going to rotate around the vaults
Why are these boxes so heavy?
Right?
Because we had at least a dozen and a half vault clerks, right? So you had all these different areas of the plant. So you had you obviously had a receiving area. You had your work in process vaults. You had your melt vault, and then you had your PMM vault for the raw materials, and you're going to circulate, and then of course shipping to get the product out. So I said, "Oh, okay," and they did. They were true to their word. I got a real good education of that. So
How long were you there?
I spent a year and a half in the vaults, but then it was exposure to everything. So I got worked in shipping for a little bit. Then there was a dental department. So we sold casting golds, we sold amalgams, and you name it, precision attachments and stuff. And it was basically shipping for that too. But you picked those products, and you had to work with the shop and replenishing stocks and stuff. So I did that for a bit, and then whenever they had overtime, I would be an overtime king. Sure, I'll work.
Overtime?
$8 an hour. Oh, I'm going to make $12 an hour. Okay, I was like, yeah,
Put my
count me
name
in.
on that list.
Count me in. It was 2 hours a night. And they'd always have It would typically be crappy jobs. Like we had a Plainfield, Massachusetts truck that would send down the silver blanks for the planchets we would coin.
For coinage.
And so I not only that took those in at night to weigh them up, but then the next day you'd be working in the mid vault too. So you had to package up all the they're stamping them all, they're serializing them. You had to keep track of all that stuff. So did that. Then other overtime jobs were the melt vault, right? So hey, we're preparing all these melts, and you got to do all the calculations.
So that's how you actually got into the precious metals industry, was through your brother?
And my brother-in-law, yes.
We've been asking this question to everybody
Yeah.
this week. How did you find yourself in this industry?
It is funny because
Right.
the industry, right? Nobody goes either goes from college or goes out of high school and says, "Oh, I want to go into precious metals." Right. I think I like refining, but it's either a family thing or it's you
Well,
sell
some-
into
or
a
it's
connection.
location. It's-
Some people
in
said
their
location.
hometown.
Their town is
Yeah.
known for XYZ precious metals,
Right.
and the jobs that were offered were in this industry.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I heard that story 3 or 4 times yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
With their
interesting.
hometown and maybe a family member
Right.
were working,
Right.
and they got into it.
So from there, I was like a year and a half, I guess a little year and a half from the vault, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this for the rest of my life, though. That's what else is out there. But let's see. I love the company. It was a good, it was a good culture and
Right.
a good work atmosphere. So first job that came up was assistant credit manager, and I was like, all right, I'll put my hat in the ringer. Yeah, the credit manager I knew well, and he interviewed me. He says, "Yeah, John, we're going to hire you." And then the next day he calls me. He goes, "John." He says the job, reports to me, and I report to the controller, but the vault manager is the assistant to the controller, and the vault manager is your brother-in-law. We've got like a conflict of interest thing.
no.
So they shoot me down, and I'm so dejected. I'm so dejected. But then, the next week, one of our dental salesmen, was I'm working in a dental area vault, he comes to me. He says, "John, I think they're looking for somebody up in customer service. There's an opening up there." So, okay. So of course now I put my hat in that ringer, and as luck would have it, I interview, and you really couldn't have somebody with true precious metals experience for the job, but I had the experience of working there for a year and a half and understanding the product. So.
Exactly. That's actually very big.
That's beneficial.
So the gentleman that they had, it was opened up because the sales manager left the company, and the gentleman that was handling the fabricated product area was moving up to be the manager, inside sales manager. So then his job was opening, so I went into his job, which was fabricated products, which was fascinating. But here I had no engineering background, and I'm dealing with these highly engineered products.
Right.
So we were doing everything from claddings to spun parts to lab, and they all fell under me.
Yeah, that's.
But it was predominantly at the day, it was big in the glass industry. So we made a lot of clad components, bowl assemblies, bushings, and everything for glass making or fiberglass.
Fiberglass, yeah.
And that was kind of fell under me, and then you had to learn how to read prints and try to understand, and then they, on the top of that, they gave me like the tubing business, and the tubing, we had extruded tubes, and so you had to learn how to calculate all the weights of this stuff, and then wire came along with it, and I was, when you're a young kid, you're 23 years old, you're like, might be a sponge, right?
So was this back in the mid-'80s by then?
Yep.
So were
By
you
mid-'80s.
also involved in manufacturing targets for?
Yes, we did all
Sputter
that stuff
targets?
too. I mean, there was another rep that kind of handled electronic products, whether it be slugs and targets and stuff.
I asked that
but
question,
I had
'cause I was in that part of the industry,
That's
so
right.
I wanted to find out.
Yeah. But we machined, we machined inset targets, big disc targets, where
Rotables, they call it, right?
Yeah. Well, the rotables came. We weren't doing that many. We weren't doing them there, but further in my career when I joined Materion, part of Williams.
Okay, so you-
rotatables.
So you left Engelhart for?
I left Engelhart after 15 years, so
Wow,
I was
that's-
there from
that's a good
83 to
run.
98, and I was manager. I worked away to the management part. Then I was doing marketing stuff, but I wanted to do something a little bit more, and so I actually left the field for a year. Went to I was a sales director for a machining company, which had 2 operations, one in North Jersey and one in Minnesota, Minneapolis. They did a lot of real precision machining, aluminum parts, stainless steel parts, all these exotics, and it was a great experience because they had just a gentleman had bought the company and bought these 2 divisions, 2 different companies, and they were merging them, and they call it Precision Technologies, And it was just a great experience doing trade shows. I did the marketing side of things, and but did a lot of cold calling, trying to get business in, and it worked out pretty well. They wanted things to go a little faster, so it just ended up after about a year we kind of parted ways. But I had a good experience under my belt.
That's great.
And then when I did, I was told Heraeus was looking for somebody in the trading group, and they had an opening there, and they wanted somebody with good maybe product experience too, because besides selling the metal, they wanted somebody that understood where the applications were. So I interviewed, and I started
Very
working in Manhattan at Heraeus's trading operation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it
didn't
was
know
actually Heraeus had bought a company called Latest Metals.
Oh, I remember. That was Tony Weinstein's company.
Yes,
That goes
and Gary
way back.
Joseph, Tony Weinstein's company, and Tony was the one that left, and that's where I filled in for Tony.
Now, I used to do business with him years and years ago.
Yeah. Tony actually started PGM. His business was called PGM something, right? PGM whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked first 2 years in Manhattan in trading. We were trying to expand some product business through Germany. Heraeus obviously had pretty much the same capabilities that Engelhard had, but of course they were stationed in Hanau, and they wanted to try to market some of the stuff here, so they kind of used me as a conduit to do that. Mm-hmm. So 2 years in trading, and then I had started to travel a little bit with thin film stuff because we had the facility in Chandler, Arizona that was doing targets and stuff. But then we also had a biomedical side. So
what year was that?
This is 1999. Started in 1999. Sorry, 2000 to 2000. I spent 5 years with Heraeus.
I was out of the sputtering target business by about 91. I was out of it. So we weren't competing back in those days.
But
I've met others here where we did compete for business.
Absolutely.
Back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And so 5 years with Heraeus, I ended up being totally involved in just the product business through Hanau, for helping them out.
Yeah.
And then an opportunity came with a company called Sigmund Cohn in New York. They were a fine wire company, 100-year-old.
They've been around.
Fourth generation owner is Tom Cohn. We were doing some work for him, and we were selling him metal at the time when I was with Heraeus. And John Berzel was my manager at the time. Wanted to keep expanding business with him. We were doing a little bit more and more. But Tom Cohn had come to me and goes, John, I really need somebody to, maybe head up be like sales director, maybe potentially have some good operational opportunity too. So I said, that'd be great. I'd love to help run an operation too. So she was kind of a man of his word. When I joined the company, as luck would have it, but also a sad part was Engelhard was closing up the Carteret plant in the early 90s. It was. And we went when they were auctioning equipment off, and it was a sad day, man. I went back to my old plant, right, and we were looking at what opportunities we could expand with it at Cohn, and so we bought some tubing equipment, we bought some spinning equipment, we bought some rolling mill, and we were going to get ourselves at the time into more fabricated type products and targets and other things, right? Sure. So I had hired some of my former colleagues from Engelhard actually to come work for me. One of the engineers, Ray Bossard and Steve Simzak, became my sales director, and we started getting into new stuff. Got into rocket nozzles for satellite systems. We started really humming, but I don't know. Ended up don't fully understand it, but was just let go out of the blue.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
things happen.
Yeah,
it just happens. And it was quite a blow at that time, though. I mean, it's not that was heard, but I had I had a kid. First son is in college. Second one is coming up to college, and
Oh, that's
and
tough.
my youngest
yeah.
is starting high school, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I gotta get back working right away.
Oh, what am I gonna do? Yeah. Land on your feet, right?
Stress.
Yeah, so I really stressed, and then I landed a job with was Williams Advanced Materials at the time, but then later became Materion.
Material, yeah, I remember.
And they were looking for somebody again as a more of a business development side, because they were looking, they had their gold and silver business, and they were saying maybe PGMs, we could do some stuff more.
Yeah, Williams wasn't into PGMs.
No, but I kind of kicked them off there. So they gave me the job of that, and then also with refining. So the refining side fell under me as well, and it was a good run. They wanted me to move to Buffalo. It was a little tough. Got that?
Yeah, a little cold up there.
So yeah, well, yeah, and of course they paid for me. They paid for the family to come up and visit my sons, my 3 sons, my wife come up, and it's January and it's cold, it's snowy, and my kids. My youngest was all game. My middle guy was somewhat ambivalent, and my oldest now just came home from the trip and said he only had 1 more year of college or Rutgers to graduate, and he just said.
Yeah, this ain't for me.
I'm staying here in Jersey, Mom, Dad. I'm not coming up there. And I said, then forget it. And the flood of tears of my wife was, we're not going to leave him behind. And, so we.
Ouch. That's rough.
Change the plans,
but
huh?
it worked out pretty well. Dick Sager was our CEO at the time. A really super nice guy, and he just was understanding as all hell. He just said, John, I like what we're doing. Let's just continue it. And so he said, I need you up here a couple weeks a month. I need you on the road a little bit, and you can work from home too. And so we.
That's nice.
At the time, we bought Academy Precious Metals at the time, so
Okay.
there were other opportunities that came with that, and I got involved, part of the transition team with them, and met some good guys that from Academy and
Academy made a lot of silver products, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, there were some former handy guys that all worked there. So
The
the
old
industry
handy
was,
crew, I think Keith Philippi was the owner or president of the company at the time that he sold it to him. But so that worked out well. But then, with me not committing to go up there, it just got a little, we ended up. Kind of was a nice mutual parting of the ways with Materion. It was really good. It went really well. But then as soon as we parted and we got a package, and I just said, man, I still want to. I got to work it right away. So Sure.
I landed it.
Yeah.
Duesman and Hetzel was looking for for somebody to be the GM of their plant in South Jersey and do. I had operational experience and stuff, and hey, I'm hired. I'm going to be the 6th or 7th employee of the place, and we're going to build the business up.
And when was that?
Let's see now. I'm trying to think. 2009, 8 or 9, 8 or something like 2008.
All right, so you were there early on.
Well, as soon as they opened the plant in the U.S.,
early on,
yeah. The equipment was just finishing putting everything in. The shredding equipment, the milling and sampling. The lab was being finalized, so it was a good time, So, but we had they already had. Bob Henning was our CEO, and Bob had already established a lot of the specialty of Duesman was the foil business. So So Bob had a lot of contacts with that. So we were hit the we were just talking about that, Muhammad, right? Hitting the ground running, right? You had the business here that. The stuff was going over to Germany. Now it could be processed here, which was better.
Which makes more sense.
Which makes more sense. And another great experience. It was worked out well. We expanded, and that's how kind of LKQ. We saw LKQ at a trade show and started talking with them, and at the time,
And other people in the industry were always worried that Duesman just going to do foils. They're going to expand into, you know, the ceramic monoliths and.
That's the bigger market, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had a nice niche, though. I mean, that small 5% of the market was nice because there wasn't.
It really takes a niche to establish an enterprise.
Yeah.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're in the Me Too sector.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it's hard.
Yeah.
Because people have relationships already, and you're trying to get in between. It's
Right.
hard.
Yeah. So after, you know, a trade show, we did some just trial work with them, and it proved out to be, wow, they were making some good money off having us toll process their materials, and so we signed up. Still remember doing the contract, couple-year contract with their full service side of their business, which was a little less than half of what they of their business overall, but it was just a nice, you know, the trucks were flying in and we were cutting cats and milling and sampling and
Right.
culling out the foils and doing that through the other process, and that worked out well. But like after a year, LKQ just thought, wow, we're doing better and better with these cats. Maybe we should be more vertically integrated. So they opted to buy into MST up in Rhode Island, and MST was going to set up cutting and operations. They already had milling and sampling up there, and then they were going to put a lab in, and so they did all that. And then
Smithfield.
what got a little bit disjointed is that you know, their thought was that, okay, we'll set up all these cutting operations and then we'll but logistically, though, we still only had North Smithfield that was doing milling, sampling, and the analytical side. So it got a little disjointed logistics because you couldn't cut cats fast enough to get the monolith ship, get that milled sample, boom, then off to a refiner. So it became a bit of a cluster to do all that. And you know, and like any company, any public company, it's just about the money. It's the money, cash flow, and we're tying up a lot of cash. So when I first joined them,
When you first joined
LKQ now, so I left after 4 years or 5 years with Duesman. I decided that you know, there were reasons.
Sure.
My expectations weren't exactly theirs, and so I said. It was a quick call.
Again.
It was a quick call to LKQ though, and they just said after a year of having MST, they just thought we needed somebody to focus all on Catalyst. MST, you know, with their gold and silver business, they just they wanted more focus on that part, and they wanted to get the dollars faster. And you know, my boss was the big VP at the time, Steve Greenspan, just said, John, I need revenue recognition. We got to get the dollars through. And so I said, okay, we can do it. You know,
Sure you can. Yeah.
So each month, though, we started having to ship. We started having to ship out to outside processors because just to get the money moving and stuff. So.
Right.
Cash
Take advantage of this facility's capacity over here, and
spread it.
and the money comes in from multiple areas.
Yeah.
Timely.
So then what kind of happened though is another bad perfect storm though was the fact that the dangers of cutting on guillotine cutters and stuff. And we had very good at Duesman though, and we had set up guards, and we were cutting on alligator shears, but the guards, we had a really more safer environment. It wasn't as safe just going up on these super shears, and so we had just started having a couple of little accidents, and next thing you know, our EH&S guys are calling me up and saying, "Oh, John, I didn't know some of this stuff was so dangerous." And so we then opted. I kind of got a new boss in here that we sat down and we did some crunching, and we said, let's start filtering back. Let's go the other way a little bit. We're going to start outsourcing, and so
because it's a liability equation.
Yeah. But there's just you relinquish a little bit of control on that side. But I was a good data guy to collect to make sure that we're still in the ranges, and that's that's kind of the story of where we are today.
You have a lot of experience on the precious metal side. It's just very interesting to hear how you've worked for multiple different companies over how many years has it been?
Let's see, since '83, so it's almost going to be 39 years. 30. Wait, is that 39 years? Sir?
39
83?
years this year.
This
40,
year.
40 years next year.
Yeah. So it's
Time flies, right?
it does. But it's just a great experience, though. And I laugh because like we said earlier, that just you don't come into something and say, "Oh, I'm going to be in the precious metal field," and all that stuff.
Right.
But the common denominator of being here, though, was the fact that where I'm at now is that whenever you had precious metals, it always needed recovery, right?
Always.
Recycling.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
So early on, I had I go back to my vault days. I worked in our receiving vault, so we would take back all, whether it be the targets, whether it be catalyst gauze, whether it be the fabricated products we made, we'd be stripping them down, remelting them, and reusing that metal through a system, right?
Yeah.
So always refining came along. Always came along with it. So you always had that experience.
Well, because of the high value of precious metal and the need to return it to the system for capital purposes, cash flow, it was very common to recycle everything. And so back in the day, when all these activities were taking place, we weren't using the terms as we do today of, circular economy, sustainability,
ESG,
environmental, social, governance, ESG. Right. We weren't using those buzzwords of today. However, we were conducting those activities at the time. Yeah. So it's interesting how we've evolved, but we haven't changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Our vernaculars evolved, but our activities, they haven't changed because the activities that we do in melting, it's still melting.
Right.
It's chopping and grinding, and it's homogenization and sampling. None of that's changed for the sole purpose of determining value and fair payment to the generator of the material. None of those activities have changed. No. The only thing that's really changed maybe is work environment, more safety controls, and things like that have been put in place. The melt shop's not wearing asbestos, right? Yeah, things of that nature, right? So it's better,
absolutely.
But sustainability and recycling, we've always done that, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, you've been with the IPMI for a few years now.
Yeah.
What is it, about the IPMI that makes you come to this annual conference every year? What's your takeaway? How do you benefit?
Well, I guess I'm probably starting my Heraeus days, actually, though. I mean, I always knew about the IPMI prior to that, but so somewhere around 2000, when I was with Heraeus, I got more involved in it. They were actually looking for officers at the time. And Rich DeSantis was stepping down as the president, and I said, John, do you want to get a little more involved in the New York, the Metro New York chapter? And I says, oh, sure. So then I started, attending the international conference, and then working with them. We would do 2 seminars a year in the spring and the fall, just get speakers in. We used to actually do a boat trip. Every other year we do these boat trips, which people used to love, and then it ended up fizzling maybe several years ago when we were doing it. But that was always and it was a network.
Because Alan wasn't involved anymore, right?
Maybe, but but it was always great networking, and everybody wants to get an analyst view of where we think the market's going.
I know. We love it.
Yeah.
And then you get it from the trading perspective too.
Yeah, from the banking and trading perspective, the finance side,
and then the refiners, and that you're all dealing with, and
it's full circle.
It just does. It does.
Yeah, sure. And I keep repeating myself every time we come to this, conversation. I'm sorry, but it's important to understand that we have such a large brain trust collectively of all these member companies or organizations and their employees who've got years of experience. We've got hundreds of years of experience in this organization of the IPMI that we all benefit from. We all draw from through our our networking, and when we
Right.
sit in seminars and we listen to some of the presentations that are being given, it's a great opportunity to come and learn if you're new to the industry.
Absolutely.
What would you say to someone out there that might be watching that is involved in this industry but hasn't decided to actually join the organization?
I don't know. You know, I came from almost a different perspective. It was like, you know, when you're a young kid and you get involved in it, you want to be a sponge to understand how this
Right.
stuff. And for me, the greatest experience was the fact that I was handling these fabricated products, and you understand, because of the high temperature nature of the material, and it's inert, and it can be used inside your body. It could be all those applications. It intrigues you, right?
Right,
No.
absolutely.
And then you're involved in it, right? So you know, and it's funny, little aspects of the business people gravitate to, like the refining side and stuff. Mine was more product related, but I used to travel with our refining salesmen, and it would be funny. We'd go into accounts and we're going to have these parts made, and our refining salesman would be me. He goes, John, I know I find this fascinating, but all I want to know is, when are they going to refine that? when does it have its end of life?
When's it coming back?
Yeah.
We just sold it. When's it coming back?
That's their mindset, right? Because
Yeah. So I mean, so you ask somebody in the industry, what do you want to be involved in? Do you want to be involved in the financing side of it, and the leasing of the metals, but do you like to get your hands dirty
So
and
there's a
process this
whole
stuff?
bunch of different
that's a good point.
applications.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That someone new could come into the industry and work for all of these different companies in multiple different capacities and be associated with the precious metal industry.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So you could be finance, you could be on the floor melting metal or processing catalytic converter scrap, or
You could be a trader,
or
trading
or
metals.
trading metals,
Yeah.
or a salesman selling fabricated product, or accounting,
Right.
management. There's a lot of different
Yep.
areas
Yeah.
across this.
It's a lot of
industry.
opportunity
Yeah.
for you know.
So I did the whole
young
gamut,
students to
though.
look
I
into,
have
for
to
sure.
say, I've done the whole gamut.
You did.
there, right?
You really
So
did.
I worked from the bottom up. You know,
Yeah, you really
I'd
did.
go out and watch the melters melting the materials to,
Was that
understanding how
eye-opening
that's
for you?
just.
You know,
It was.
Seeing that at the first time.
It
you're like,
was.
Wow.
You're going to.
There was such an art. There was an art to it.
at some point, right?
Yeah.
And are you still going to be active in the organization?
Maybe, yes.
Because
I can see doing consulting work too, because I've got a lot of.
But you have so many relationships established
Yeah.
in this industry, and friends and colleagues that
Yeah.
you get to see every year when you come to these conferences.
You can
Yes, yeah.
download that knowledge on the up and comers for sure.
Yeah. Well, I did. We dabbled a little while ago. My wife had a little consulting business that she had, and we decided, let's expand it, because you know so many people in the industry. So I did. We've done a little bit of executive search stuff and placed a couple of people and stuff,
Interesting.
knowing from, you know the people from JM and Engelhard and
Right.
the VS. I mean, everywhere. Just so if there's some need for somebody, didn't really advertise it too much, but yeah, if you're looking for somebody, I mean, even to the financial side, you knew people in the financial end too.
That's
so,
right.
And nowadays, I mean, it's the whole HR side of things has become huge, right? Even my 9 years at LKQ, one of our biggest department is our talent acquisition department. Now is becoming huge within the company. They're always looking for people.
Wow. How many? I'm curious. How many locations or yards, I should say, does?
Well, there's
LKQ
200
operate?
plus yards in the country, in the U.S.
in the LKQ portfolio.
Yeah, and our U.S. model is a little bit different. European model is more on the parts side of things, and then the other components in the distribution side of things. They're not as much. I think we maybe have one or two like yards in Europe, and maybe in the Sweden, Norway, or Finland. I don't know up there, but we've grown a lot. In my 9 years, we've more than doubled our size of our business.
Right.
So it's
You got in.
Good for you.
LKQ got in at the right time, I think.
Yeah, but they started in '98. Actually, '98 was, and I think their model at the time was they were buying like yards, family yards, and there's still like some family members within LKQ that are still.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
How many employees are there?
Over 40,000.
40,000.
40-something
That's
thousand.
a lot of employees.
Over 40,000. I think maybe even higher. So I can't hold you to it. But
Right.
once you're up at that level, you
Oh,
can just
yeah,
say
that's a lot.
of people. But
Wow.
of course, COVID had the little hits of that ebb and flow of furloughing.
So you're going to be
people
here at the
and-
conference for a couple days?
Yeah,
like
I'll be here
that?
till Wednesday. I'll be going back Wednesday.
Okay,
But
great.
I got unfortunately, a little bit of late start.
Well, I'm
because
glad you were
of the
able to
between
make it. I know that you
Yeah.
were scheduled for yesterday, and
Yeah.
the travel
That was nice
arrangements
to talk to you guys.
didn't
And,
allow.
Right?
I know.
But I just want to thank you for your time and for joining us.
No, it's nice seeing you guys. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you,
Thanks,
John.
John.
And I'd like to say thank you, Larry Drummond of the IPMI, for allowing us the opportunity to come and be able to speak
Yep.
with members of the IPMI. So thank you, Larry Drummond.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.